Welcome back to the Social Seller Podcast with Conor Paulsen, where we interview the world's highest quality communicators, professionals, business owners, creatives, and everything in between. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're a high quality communicator, there's a good chance you're living a lot happier life, but you're also bringing those opportunities into your life almost like a magnet. My guarantee is that on this show, we only interview people that I, one, look up to, and two, that I know are going to continue to kill the game for years to come, and I want to make sure they're on your radar. But what I've learned is by asking the best questions, we get the best responses, and that's what the highest quality communicators, our social sellers, are all about. Let's hop inside to the Social Seller Podcast.
Well, once again, we're really big on education. We tell our technicians, even like our office staff too. We have trainings like that people can be scheduled to go on. There's a ton of opportunities for people to continue to grow, to continue to accelerate. If someone needs a certificate because we need to be able to work on a special piece of equipment, for example, like there's this building called Pacific Gate Towers by Bosa. It's like one of the most beautiful.
It's my favorite residential
is a
tower
word.
Downtown.
But yeah, it's like the most beautiful building like in San Diego, Pacific Gate Towers. And we're one of the only authorized contractors that's even allowed to work in there. So when Wes, actually, one of our lead technicians, mentioned that we need to get like the special training to be able to work on this building with like Daikin and all the specialty equipment that they have in there, because everything is next level at Pacific Gate.
Yep.
It was like a no-brainer. I'm like, dude, get whatever you need. Let's just get in there and let's just make this thing happen. And that's what we do. It's just we always make sure whatever the guys need, we get it. If the guys need tools, dude, we get them tools. The guys aren't driving, used trucks. The guys are driving brand new vehicles. On top of that, our uniforms, we take those very serious, because once again, I don't want people to think of Five Diamond as another just another trade company. Our guys come in, dude, with Under Armour polos, dude, with our logos engraved on them, dude. We're all black on black, which is super classy, promotes that luxury experience. We go into these high-rise buildings, but we really want our guys to know, when they step foot into a building, we don't want people to look down on them. We want people to practically salute these guys because they know that they're with the best.
I love that. You're giving me chills. How do I hire you? I need to get a building first. I need to build something.
Let's go build something.
Yeah. So what does this look like? Let's say to your kids. So I know you're happily married, and how many children?
Just 2 fur babies.
2 fur babies.
Yeah.
2 furs.
So
the 4-legged
family.
family.
A charcoal lab and a golden retriever.
Okay. Yeah. And they double as security too. They double
Exactly.
as. That's always the best line whenever you door knock and there's dogs going wild, because that usually pisses the owners off. They don't want to talk to you, so you immediately go, "You've got good security, right? Your 4-legged family." Anyway, that's out of right field. For the family, what is the balance for you? You're 27 years old, and I have a good feeling that the company is probably your primary baby. You have this relationship with your wife that obviously is a priority. You have your family that lives close here in Oceanside. How do you balance amongst all of this? And do you think there is a place in life where you can find peak balance? And is it sustainable?
I think eventually there is a point where you can get to that peak balance, but it takes a lot of work to get to that point. And it's also about sacrifices, because you got to be willing to sacrifice right now to be able to experience it later. And I'm a firm believer in FIRE, just being financially independent, retire early. And that's one thing that always kind of motivates me too. Not that I want to just be retired early, but it's just having the ability to be retired early if I wanted to, be able to spend the extra time with my family. So I figured if I could hustle now in my prime years to be able to experience these things later on, so that way I don't have to wait till my 60s to enjoy my hard work, but I could be actually still capable, that's ultimately my biggest goal. But of course, if you're going to be moving and shaking, obviously there is going to be some sacrifices, and I have to say, sacrificing time right now, being really high in demand, those are real things. So one thing I'd be really thankful for is that my wife is extremely supportive. She does back up my visions. She is right there by my side. And even though a lot of times like I said, we all have, I do a really good job of probably driving my girl crazy, but she has a ton of patience, so I'm definitely appreciative of the fact that she allows me to do these things, because ultimately, dude, it's for her, it's for our kids in the future, and that's my why.
I love that. And you definitely have defined what you value, and just the way you describe it shows me that you've created sustainable patterns, and you have routines and things that allow you to make sure you're working on all these areas, right? That you're not just living in the day-to-day, But much like the business, right? It's not working in the business, it's working on the business. That's how you scale. And I think you can apply the 80-20 rule. And just like our own lives, we have to work on that just like our own businesses, right? We have to be aware. And the quicker we can look in the mirror with that realistic look and not see in sugarcoat aspects of our life, I feel like our life starts to get a lot better. And I'm more so talking to myself right now, right? Like,
No,
I wish
dude,
I would have done this earlier in life.
I should be taking notes from you too, man. I'm like, yes, exactly.
Yeah, and at 27, I have a feeling that, would you say your career is kind of the primary focus? And when it comes to kids, do you plan on kids? Is that of interest at some point down the road? And how do you evaluate the right time for that, and being a business owner and like the life you might want to live with your wife? And is there a timing to it? Because this is something in my mind that I'm constantly trying to prioritize.
I think all of us ask ourselves, like that question, right? When's a good time to have kids? When should I have kids? Because dude, you go to like the parks and stuff and you see families all the time. You're like, dude, that actually looks pretty nice, But once again, if it happens, it happens. I know I'll be the best at ever. But there's a couple things that we've also experienced. Everybody's always going through stuff. I mean, life just unfortunately has unforeseen occurrences. So like my wife and I, we've had 2 miscarriages in the past, both pretty recent. And that's where we're like, okay, like, let's maybe take a step back. Let's really just kind of focus back on our relationship. Let's get that nice and solid. And once like the opportunity's there, like let's entertain it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But right now though, like while we have all this stuff going on for us, I just feel like right now, I just want to keep on just digging deep, just keep on driving. And that way when we are ready to finally make that commitment, it's like, at least I'm a lot more prepared, in the like now than versus if I was like, even in my, even a couple of years ago. Like I would have figured it out, but it's just being more prepared for it.
Yeah, what's your wife's name?
Her name's Brooke.
Brooke.
Yeah,
Brooke sounds incredible.
DeLuca,
Brooke DeLuca. Brooke, I'm sure you're an incredible woman. Someday we'll meet. And to have the patience, because I think that's one big aspect. What I love is that you definitely both have and share that relationship. And my best guess is that you have a belief, and the way you two communicate is very much so about you right now and you collectively in the future, and your goals are combined, and that you two are a team in getting there, right? Because I can just hear the subtleties in your communication of how you do that, and that you had unfortunate opportunities, it sounds like in the past couple of years or past, whatever, in the last 5 years, but the way you communicate and the way you describe her, it sounds like that's only made, and strengthened your relationship. And it shows your emotional maturity for both of you, that you can take a step back when that happens, right? Because I know a lot of family members, a lot of friends, and people really close to me that these same things have happened, right? And for a lot of the world, that can pause your life, And rightfully so, there's nothing wrong with it. But it's like that can stop and just halt everything. That could stop, halt the business. That could, rightfully so. And props, because I can tell there's love. There's love in the relationship, love in the goals that you set, and that lifestyle. How does she spend her time? How does Brooke?
So she pretty much makes, Brooke pretty much makes sure like everything I'm doing is like, where right now she does a lot of, she does work part-time.
Yeah.
But what she makes sure is like, at least the day-to-day in the house is all taken care of.
Amen.
And that's the part
Huge.
where it makes a huge difference, dude. When I'm waking up early, dude, and she's up making my coffee, making my food, it's like, thank you. When I come home and there's like, dude, laundry's done. I joke with her all the time. It's so crazy. I'm like, I just dropped clothes on the floor. Like, our house must be magic. Like, I dropped clothes on the floor, and the next day it's washed and folded perfectly back into my drawer. I'm like, how does this just happen? And she's like, geez, I wonder how it just happens like that.
It's this new Roomba, yeah.
But yeah, it takes a lot of time. So yeah, it's like those little things that really make a bigger difference. But that's the difference between finding a life partner versus just finding, just a spouse. I mean, it's like, I really feel like I found a partner, and dude, we're good partners. We're partners in crime practically. So
I love that. And I've never brought this up before, and I'm just curious, and I don't know how to bring it up. I used to feel guilty in ways because I'll say 5 to 10 years ago, I was like, yeah, it's a stereotypical thing. Like, I've always defined I'm going to be the alpha in my family, and I'm going to lead, and I'm going to be the breadwinner. And, when I do have that lady in my life, I want to make sure she doesn't have to work if she doesn't want. Then in business, it started to show me, and then I started to learn about love languages. And I realized that it actually means so much more to me, and it wasn't this ego, selfish-driven thing of like, I want the things that my home, like, just if my home life is all put together and organized, then magically it reflects directly in how I lead and show up for meetings, teams, sales calls, whatever. And it wasn't until 3 to 4 months ago I took the love language test or quiz. I don't know if you've taken it, and I realized my number one was physical. Number two, and it was pretty much tied, was acts of kindness. And I think this goes so close, and I think it's ingrained for so many men. And it took something like a little bit of science to help, because I used to feel selfish thinking that, like, Connor, no, you don't need to depend on a woman to do your laundry. Like, you can clean your... But now I realize as our time and our commitments and our passions, it's so cool to have someone on our team that understands our future, and that, okay, hey, it's this give and take model, I'm sure, for both of you, and how you give back to her. But I'm realizing, do you think it's selfish to think that, to like have that ability of like, does that make her happy, right? Because I think it can, as long as we're on that collective page. What are your thoughts?
It's all about the way you communicate, right? Because, yeah, I mean, even as leaders, we tend to have more of an alpha personality type, but it's not an excuse to like not be willing to do those things either. I mean, dude, trust me, like it's about balance, right? Because I'm not one to be so quick to tell my wife, oh, like, you're doing the dishes or you're cooking, you're doing that. It's like, it's not expected, you know? And I try to do my due diligence to make sure I'm helping, and I'm trying to clean up too. I mean, not like a total slob, you know, just throwing everything around everywhere. But it's just that, it's that team, right? It's that way you communicate, it's the way you express yourself, because she doesn't do this because she feels she has to. She does it because she wants to, you know? And that's a big component, is that even like myself, like, I don't feel like I have to work. I feel like I want to work. And when you both want to do something, then that's where it's like, want is actually something that can be fulfilled, because you're getting something bigger out of that. You know, you're both getting that level of like self-satisfaction afterwards, because you're giving, dude. It's definitely proven, dude, there's more happiness in giving than there is in receiving.
Amen.
So when both people are contributing and putting in an effort to make a marriage work, then yeah, dude, you're building your marriage on the pathway for success.
You took that perfectly. You took that perfectly. Yes, that's beautiful, because it always comes back to teamwork. It really does. In communication, it really does. In all aspects, every single relationship, it is so critical, and we hear about it. And communication is something I can tell you and me both love. And continuing that education helps me identify and see more things that happen in the day-to-day life that I just didn't even recognize was happening 6 months ago. It was there, just didn't know it yet. What excites you the most, and what are you the most let me rephrase it. What are you the most excited for January 1st, 2022, and going into the next year?
Yeah, for next year, you know, it's like every day is just so exciting. You know, every day that you can continue to make continue to make new chapters in your life, make new stories, you know, meet new people. That's the part that excites me, is like, where am I going to be at in January? Where I'm going to be at 6 months from now? You know, but I can say on the direction that we're going, I look forward to just being that much closer, dude, to that end goal I'm trying to achieve. It's just that getting to that balance of being able to manage your time effectively, so that way you can put in as much effort into work, into your family, into your own physical working out routine, and just be effective at it all, which I know sounds unrealistic, but dude, I know it's something that you can attain. I know other people that have attained that. And so when I see those things actually happening, that's my goal, is to be able to get to that point, is where you can be somewhat balanced in most aspects of your life.
Amen. And I'm a big believer. My current theory is that balance has to be unique to you, right? Now, you can learn from successful people. Test what they're doing, right? Not everything applies to you. Because someone loves to wake up at 4:15 and roll out of bed and work out does not mean that works for you. Maybe you are the person that needs to work out after work at 4:30, and that's like perfect. That's the perfect time. It's before you have to, you go home and see your husband or wife, and it's like that in between time you listen to a podcast, The Social Seller, and it just gets you in the right prime, right? To get home and hang out with the kids. So it's just identifying those and kind of having a plan. And so much of this, I see how all of these circle back, and it's the point that I was making earlier, and I started noticing this was, it is really just these simple practices that our parents have probably told us from a young age, our grandparents, our teachers, our professors. And a lot of the times we like to complicate it because we think success means things have to be complicated and there has to be so much going on and Excel sheets and numbers everywhere, and it's got to be confusing, and you have to be busy. You can't be wealthy. And it's like, no, the wealthiest and the most successful have learned simplicity, and they've learned systems, and they don't have ambiguity. They've created filters. I go to a networking event and I have one glass of wine and I'm out, right? Like, I don't have to because I've already created the filter. There's no ambiguity. Little filters like that. Have you created anything like that in your life it's actually probably going to be pretty hard for you to pick up right now, because a lot of times when you create these routines, they become subconscious so quick. Is there anything like that you can relate to?
Yeah, I mean, definitely having routines, like, you need to be routine. You know, you have to have structure, and structure actually leads to simplicity once again. If you don't have structure, things get very complicated. So yeah, having my morning routine, you can ask my wife, like, I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning whistling, dude, and it drives her nuts, you know?
What's the whistling for?
Dude, I wake up excited, you know? Just whistling happy, you know? Like, just dude, like, you're whistling, you know, when you wake up, you're happy, you're excited.
Can you give us a whistle? What's the whistle like in the morning?
I don't know, dude. It'd be like my favorite song or something. I
love it.
We could do that. We'll do that later, right?
Yeah.
But the point is, it's just always waking up in a positive way. That's it.
It's the energetic level that you're going to show up for the day.
That's it, dude. And just having your mindset already prepared. Because, dude, when you wake up early, you have time to prepare your day. And to be willing just to, like, dude, you're ready for it. It's like, okay, what punches are going to be coming my way? What am I have to dodge? What obstacles do I have? How does my day look? And then what am I going to need to do to get that much closer to that goal once again? You know, if I'm going to build these processes, they're not going to build themselves. So what do I need to do? Do I need to wake up earlier? Do I need to, like, set more day up later in my day? Do I need to move around some appointments? What do I need to do to keep on implementing these things? You know, so yeah, there's a book actually called, like, The Miracle Morning. I'm sure you've read it too.
Love it.
About the 4 a.m.ers, dude. And it's proven. You wake up at 4 a.m., trust me, you're going to kick some butt, dude. If you're not a morning person, figure out how to be a morning person.
Go to bed early.
Just go to bed earlier.
It really is.
Rocket science.
It does take discipline. It's harder at first, but once you do it, it's actually pretty damn easy.
Yeah, and I gotta say the second thing too is definitely hanging around people who are doing similar things as you. Because, dude, your circle of friends is gonna have a heavy influence on you. If you're hanging around people, dude, let's say at the donut shop, well, guess what? You're probably gonna end up looking like your buddies that hang out at the donut shop. You go to the gym, you hang around bodybuilders, what's gonna happen? You're like bodybuilders. The same thing is with success, because success is not based off, once again, material things. It's based off of a mindset. So when you're hanging around people who have bigger visions and bigger aspirations and who are actually doing crazy things in San Diego or wherever you live at, really, those are the people that I like to hang around myself, because it keeps me, one, accountable, and also it keeps me, like, continuing to make new goals, because the people I hang around with in my circle are guys that I want to be like.
Yeah.
I'm like a fly on the wall. And if I'm ever the smartest person, dude, and I realize I need to get a different circle, you know, because I still got a lot more room to grow.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more. And that starts to become a subconscious belief where you have that belief, I don't want to be the smartest. And I realize the other filter you need to get out of the room is what John Maxwell talks about, is when people are complimenting you too much, right? And sometimes leaders can forget that they're not complimenting you as the individual, because that leads to the ego and, like, oh, I am good. Oh, I am. And just over time it can do that. But remembering, like John Maxwell says, the best leaders, no, they're simply complimenting your gift. Your gift you were given, and when you're gone, you know, it's here, but share it. You're the outlet. So just being able to remember and retain that, I think, aligns closely with that. Will you walk us through a condensed your morning routine all the way, morning through day? Like, what does your average day look like, or what does your ideal day look like? So you said alarm goes off at 4. You're going to roll out. What are you doing first? You're going to whistle to what? Coffee?
Yeah. No. So pretty much, like, I wake up first in the morning, obviously just do my thing, usually take a shower. And that's usually when, like, I'll usually do like a lot of, like, meditation. You know, usually I'll read something like spiritual. Usually I'll read something that is just going to kind of like set my day up, once again, in a positive way. On top of that too, that's usually when I'll look over my day and start planning it, which I actually kind of do more like the day before, but just to kind of as a recap, just kind of look through everything. Okay, it's like, so all the stuff I have to do in the morning, I want to do in the morning. If it's like paperwork and if it's stuff I can do like on a laptop, that's typically the stuff I'll save to like at the end of the day to make the most of it. If you really want to focus on time management, dude, be out there in the daylight when people are out, and at night, do the stuff that people do at nighttime. You know, but then at the same time, you're also trying to squeeze in, you know, because the way I have it balanced out, so it's like we're all given 24 hours in a day. You times that by 7, it's what, like 100 and, I don't know. Let's just say,
yeah, none of us know it. Anyone want to calculate?
Here, let's calculate that real quick, just so we can have a better idea of this. So 24 times 7 is
168.
168. So we're given 160 hours a week. And this is mind-blowing because actually one of my mentors taught me this. But he's like, you know, if you're working a full-time job, it's not really an excuse to like not be able to do anything outside of work. Because you think about it, you're working 40 hours a week, but how many lunches do you take a day? Well, you take a lunch a day, so that's at least 30 minutes. So in reality, you're not working for 40 hours, you're working more like, what, 37.5? So you subtract 37.5 hours from that 168, and you're still given 130 hours. So you figure, well, I still got to sleep. So what's 8? You know, if the average person sleeps 8 hours, which I don't, but let's say it's 8 hours, you subtract 56 hours from that 130. And that's 74 hours. So dude, from sleep and work, you're still given 80 hours practically of whatever you want to do. So let's say you dedicate 40 of those hours to family because you don't want to be unbalanced from family and work. So you subtract 40 hours, you still have 34.5 hours. What are you doing with that 34.5 hours? Are you using that to work out? Are you using that to read? Are you using that to work on any other business things? Or are you wasting that on TV? Are you wasting that just on recreation? You know, so that taught me a lot because I'm like, dude, we're actually given a lot of time and we're all given the same amount of time. It's just a matter of like how are we using it. So once again, having that structure, being disciplined, waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going to bed at 9 o'clock at night, you know, and just making the most out of every day, fitting in working out, fitting in, you know, obviously, you know, the hustle, then figuring out family, and then getting an adequate amount of sleep. You know, so
Amen.
That's how I kind of structure my day, structure my weeks.
That go and rewind the last few minutes because that was so much value. That is awesome because you just gave the logic and the reasoning too. I haven't broken it down quite like that, but yeah, that's a reminder that I still utilize too much recreational time, and yet I have a lot of friends that are like, dude, you should do it more often. Yeah. And there's still a balance, and then it's being able to like go to sleep at night and be like, you know what, I'm proud of today. I'm happy. I know I progressed and hopefully made some people better. What I do really like is that you explain, and this is my belief too, you can only add hours to your day in the morning. You can't do it at the end of the day, right? And with those things we talked earlier about working on ourselves and on our businesses, not in them, right? The in it is just not in control of it. By waking up early in the morning, not only are you in control, you are creating these quiet hours where your brain is the most efficient, right? There's a reason why monks wake up at 4 a.m. and meditate, right? In this same stuff applies. Our brain is a lot more efficient, hence why, and I'm just trying to unpack some of the reasoning that is backed by science on why you and me do these things, right? If our brain is the most efficient in those morning hours, let's get the hardest tasks done, the ones that are going to take the most deep thought, right? The most deep work, where I need to know that I'm not going to be distracted. So I love it because I sit in that chair and it's still dark and I turn the fireplace on and it's quiet and I know that's when I can do. For me, my highest priority are personalized outreach, prospecting, high-level partnerships. Like if I'm doing that, I know the company continues to grow because what today's work is really just setting up my calls 2 weeks out, right? And that's what the highest priority is now. But if I'm not, and there are days where I'm not in control, or I went to an event, stayed too late, and I knew I needed extra sleep, so I slept in for this day. And it throws my day off, and I'm not in control of the day. The day owns me. And those days scare the shit out of me. I don't like it. I really don't, because I didn't do my things in order. And it almost starts to feel like OCD in the sense of, I just know that's when I'm primed and ready. The working on, right? All of those behaviors you would explain, like, are you investing in yourself, right? Are you investing in yourself, or is it recreational? There's still time for recreational. But I think the easiest filter is like, yes, we all need rest, right? And yes, once in a while you're with your husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, and it's a Sunday and you are going to relax and you're going to sit down and watch something. I think one little filter is like, yeah, you can go on Netflix, you can watch anything you want, but there's also things you can educate and invest yourself with and still entertain yourself, like a documentary, right? Like Explained, like Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia, that are this balance of entertainment but still educating. I say this because that's not going to solve any problems, but these are little things that I'm trying to think about in my own life, and by simply watching them, it makes you feel happier too, right? Like it really does. I don't even know how to explain it. Do you ever feel like a grandparent though? Like in the sense of, have you ever looked at your own life, or has your wife ever said like, Carlos, do you ever feel like you just live like a grandpa? Because it is kind of so routine sometimes, and it's like, I am always in bed by 9 p.m. It feels like Monday through Friday. Or like, do you ever feel that mundane feeling?
Yeah, because, I'll be honest, like, sometimes we've been over to friends' houses, and they will put on a movie, like, we'll all be hanging out, and, dude, I'm knocked out. Like, the moment I hit their couch, and it gets past 9, I'm, like, coasting, so people always laugh, like, dude, I'm like, well, at the same time, like, dude, I'm up really early, so, yeah, maybe it comes with, like, I'm trying to think of the word, the stuff that we're doing is not, in a sense, normal. Because what normal people do is stay up late, party, and then get back with the whole rhythm. It's like, we have to be disciplined. Once again, those sacrifices. What are we willing to do now to benefit from later? So yeah, having grandpa moments, being that friend where it's like, hey, I don't need any more stuff to drink. I'm cool with just one drink tonight. I'm gonna hit the hay early. It's just all part of it, dude. But I don't have regrets, man. Like, I've walked the stairs my whole life. So taking the escalator is not really my style anyways.
I love that. And that's just such a belief and such a tone for the overall conversation, and that you're a great communicator. And what I love is today we were able to break it down and get into some of the very specific things to show how from a high level, yeah, you're happy. And someone could just meet you at a Starbucks, right? And they go, oh, Carlos, yeah, he's a nice guy. I have no idea what he does, but he's a nice guy, dresses well, right? But then when we start to break things down, and these interviews are so cool because we get to learn about how you live your day-to-day life, because most people don't probably ask you that question, but in the context where you're actually going to break it down and then giving us the logic, I think is really what excites me, because what you have learned, and you've paid your coaches, I'm sure you and Wes and people on your team, you guys pay for coaches and invest in yourself and your teams too. You invested money in whoever, that coach that taught you, but you just shared that with us for free, and I didn't pay for that coaching session, right? I love coaching sessions, and anyone listening to this just got free coaching, right? That same discipline is why we're up recording at 7:30 a.m. on a Saturday morning, right? That's pretty risky. That tells me like what I can and can't do on a Friday. But I'm happy, right? Because we're excited for the future that we're creating, because we're in control. How can people get in contact with you, Carlos? What is your company's website? And I know you guys are growing fast, and for anyone potentially looking at career opportunities and working for a top tier company like yourself, where can they learn more about you and the company?
Yeah, they could, honestly, they could either go on our social media, so they could go on 5 Diamond Inc. You can look me up on Carlos III on Instagram. But even then too, if they just go on www.5diamondinc, that's like the number 5.com, that's where they could, explore our company a little bit more, give us a call. And we're recruiting all sorts of people. Dude, anything from office administration to dispatching to being field technicians, engineers, like anybody who wants to continue to make a bigger impact with the with this new like 5 Diamond movement, like they're totally welcome to give us a call. We're based over here in Little Italy too. We accept walk-ins all the time. They could easily walk right into our building and just come introduce themselves. If you guys want to just come say hi, check out 5 Diamond headquarters. We're around Kettner and Ash. But we love it,
I love that. And if you mention the social seller for walk-ins, you get to skip the first interview and go straight into the second round. So make sure you mention the social seller. No, we never use that one. No, we're going to flip it up to conclude this one. Carlos, what would you like to learn about the social seller community? And we're going to close it out based on your question, and they're going to respond based in the comments.
I guess from the social seller, it's just, I guess you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? So if there's any information that, social seller wants to continue to extend, if there's something they feel like, hey, this might be a good opportunity for you, hey, this is a book that I read that you might find interesting, that's all stuff that fascinates me. Because I'll admit it, dude, I've barely scratched the surface of all this stuff. I still got a lot of room for growth. And that's my biggest question is, what don't I know?
I love that. And for anyone listening in that made it to this point, please leave that. I know Carlos is going to be looking at the comments, and I will be too. Whether it's the book recommendations, and I can tell you've done a lot of work, but I love that mindset because we are all students for life, and it is always going to be that way. I don't plan on retiring. Even if we do retire, like it's never going to stop, right? When you love what you do, and that's why we're creating these lives, and all of us deserve to live that too. Thanks so much for tuning in. Every Tuesday at 9 a.m., we drop a new Social Seller Podcast episode on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. and you will be seeing this one soon. See you on the inside. This is a good one, man. Thank you,
All
brother.
right. Sweet.
Appreciate it.